Meet Shan Saber, a veteran recruitment industry leader turned EMCC Level 5 professional coach. He is also the founder of an anti-trafficking movement and director at Brightwork Staffline, one of the largest recruitment agency in Scotland.
I want us to talk a little bit about leadership, coaching and culture.
Yeah.
What personal habits makes a leader better at spotting and preventing this kind of harms?
Oh, of course, right, okay. Habits of a leader is acceptance and understanding, right? Because if, as a leader, you just look at modern slavery as a tick box, we need to make sure we have training, we need to make sure that our first line management, and we have a way of reporting it within an organisation. It's just ticking a box. If you, as a leader, you see that this is a global, national, local issue that everyone as a human has a part to play in, as a consumer, as somebody walking in the street, somebody who understands spotting the signs, business is a big part to play in that. So business can't alone play in it. Government, legislation, all those types of things have a big part to play in it. But as a personal habit, as a leader, you have to be compassionate. You have to have a real awareness of it, but you have to understand this isn't just so that we meet the legislation, the minimum requirements of legislation.
How do you undo clients exec who wants the optic of ethics without the substance? You know, there are some people who just want to tick the box, but they are really not committed. How do you undo those kind of people?
I think this is something I talk about before, is that when you have values, and I always look at it when you're in an organisation, they have their values on the wall, right? And they're written up on the wall. What does it actually mean to every single person? And the way that values, company values, come across to everyone can be interpreted in different ways. That's allowed. But when values are decided by the people at the top and cascaded down, that's when it becomes much more difficult, right? So you look at the values and ask questions about the values. What do the values actually mean to everyone in the organisation? So to me, that's the first place you start. Really straightforward.
So which leads me to the next question. What are the most uncomfortable questions you've had to ask board and directors and business owners when it relates to modern day slavery?
Modern slavery. I think what's uncomfortable is when I speak to senior people in businesses all the time about modern slavery and about what they're doing about it, or do they understand the scale of the problem? And some of the stats that we've spoken about today, there's a lack of awareness, and I think so. What are you doing about it is a deep question, and what you'll find is, we have a modern slavery statement, right? I'd question that. What else are you doing about it? What are you going to do about it? And the final thing I'd say about that is, whilst this is such a human issue and a human rights issue, the depth of the brand and the reputation of a business that has modern slavery unknowingly in their organisation, or knowingly, no one ever do it knowingly, that it's very hard to recover from.
Wow.
Because the media will always look at where there's modern slavery. So, if you find it, you have to accept it and fix it and remedy it immediately, and the people that have been impacted by it. But also, you have to understand that if you don't have the process and this happens, and you let this slip through, then your business reputation is gone.
It's gone. So where do you expect risk to shift? Next? Is it AI managed scheduling, gig platforms, cross-border contracting? What's the next wave?
With regards to modern slavery, I think
with regard to recruitment in general.
Recruitment in general, yeah, absolutely. Okay, I can think about where the future of recruitment goes.
Yeah.
I think I can talk about our industry, my industry, working in the recruitment industry, is that AI is going to have an impact, has had an impact, right? Simple things like, why would you speak to a recruiter about helping with getting them to help or advising your CV when you have AI that can do that for you, right? It can make your CV suitable for every single different job that you go for. So that's great, right? When I talk about transactional recruitment, right, where recruiters recruitment people who sit and wait, put an advert out, wait for CVs to come in, very little interaction with the candidates, and send CVs to their customer or their client, and just wait to get interviews and then hope that they're going to get some success. Your days are numbered. It's over, right? The importance of, because AI can do that. systems can do that, process can do that. That's not what we do. We have to have deep personal relationships with the people that we're recruiting for and the people that we're recruiting into businesses and organisations. And the importance of understanding understanding the needs, the personalities and the culture. Transactional recruitment, I talked about values. Transactional recruitment means the wrong person goes into the wrong company and they don't last very long and they're deeply unhappy, right? And that has consequences for the recruiter as well as the business and the individual. That's transactional. It has to be personal. It has to be deeply personal as well. They have to understand it, but it has to be profitable as well. And where that comes from is you understand the needs of both parties. You understand how that works. And you have to challenge. So I go back into coaching now. You have to be able to challenge people's challenge, because client might want, for example, really simply put, might say we're only going to pay a salary of this amount. A bad recruiter won't question that. If they know that salary is not competitive, a bad recruiter will just go and try and find somebody for the lower salary. A good recruiter will say, hold on a minute, I know my market. You're not going to get somebody for that. That's the level you need to recruit for, is a low level below or somebody stepping up. If you want to get the quality and the calibre you're after, you need to pay another £5,000 or £10,000 or whatever it might be. Challenge. And it's really, really important. Or challenge perceptions as well. Perceptions. Sorry, I'll just finish on this, is that we live in a society where young people are categorised as being, they don't want to work hard, they don't work as hard as me. When I started work, I would work till 7 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and you could cut me down the middle and it would bleed my company's name. Well, why would anybody want to do that now, right? The world has changed, but also generationally, the generation before me said that about my generation in the workplace, and I'm sure it said that with the generation before. So accept that it's not that young people are lazy, it's that young people that are entering the workplace want different things, right? And they want flexibility, they want more money, they want to have a career in different areas and different exposure to different things. Don't think everybody thinks like the generation before. And as a good recruiter, you have to challenge those perceptions, because otherwise they end up recruiting a business that's just like them, and that's not fit for the future.
Wow. I love the way you spoke into the recruitment, the future of recruitment. So if you could change one enforcement or reporting mechanism right now or tomorrow to reduce harm, what could it be?
To reduce harm, it's complicated to report it. It's victim-centred as well, but I think I don't know, it's a difficult one for me to answer. I don't know. Sometimes I get sucked into what's going on in the now rather than thinking about what could change in the future. I think the legislation, and there is, the UK Home Office, the Scottish Government as well, there's collaboration on this. So politically there already is collaboration, and when Theresa May was Home Secretary, she passed that legislation, the Modern Slavery Act, but it was 10 years ago. It's now time for an update. It is in process and it's changing. There's looking at other countries' legislation. Australia have kind of led the way in the past as well. Could we just off the shelf take legislation from another country and implement that in the UK, and how easy would that be? I think there's probably people far more qualified, knowledgeable at that than I am, but I think legislation will get started.
What market signal from customers, insurers, lenders would most accelerate ethical recruitment? What market signal would most accelerate ethical recruitment?
I think ethical recruitment is such a broad, what goes behind it is so broad. This is about diversity and inclusion. This is about recruitment practices. This is about equality and equity in society, right? And being able to accept that. And it's very difficult right now, I think, for businesses. We are going through another change in society where D&I programs, particularly what's happened in America, diversity and inclusion programs have been scrapped. There's a fear of it, and actually, that's even using the term is, oh no, wait a minute, not another program. Also, how many people have been left out in society? I get really hold on to this, not maybe a market signal, is that you have to accept that the world has changed. You have to accept that Scotland, and I'm really Scotland specific, right? Glasgow. When I grew up, the BAME population, black ethnic population and Asian population in Scotland was around 4%, right? Now we're sitting in Glasgow City, sitting around 22%. This is important. So the whole fabric of society in Glasgow, the biggest city in Scotland, has changed, right? But I'm going to give you a history lesson, sorry if you don't mind, right?
I love it.
You love the history lesson, right? Well, I'm going to start a history lesson. So that's now 2025, and as we evolve, that's going to change. This city, Glasgow, has been built on the back of immigration consistently for 200 years, right? So when we're living in a time now with such a strong anti-immigration stance, and we're talking not just asylum, I feel it. I'm a person of colour that's grown up with it. Racism is a thing, right? It's not disappeared. It's back, right? And it's back and it's open now, and you see it and you hear it and you feel it. It's not good. I don't like it at all. 100 years ago, the population of Glasgow, 20%, again, similar to the Bain population now, 20% were Irish born, right? This is 1925, if I get my stats right, were Irish born. So they were born in Ireland and lived in Scotland, not counting on the other generations of Irish born that had children, and those that were from Ireland were discriminated against. Those in Ireland that came with a different religion, they were discriminated against for work. They found it very, very hard. They lived in areas of high levels of social deprivation around where we are right now, and in and around the city of Glasgow and many other cities across the UK and Scotland, and they were treated terribly. And it's taken, that was an immigrant population. They talked about the hatred of Irish that still existed in the 70s and 80s. My dad couldn't rent somewhere because the sign said no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. That's in the 70s, right? It's not, that's not that long ago. That's the generation, the years. I was born in the 70s. So immigration, not just Irish, European, Jewish migration from European states, Asian migration. I'm come from a wave of Asian migration. My parents came here to work as migrants. Yes, they had jobs, but they came here to work in the NHS. So we have to accept it. We have a city that's built on migration. So I think that accepting this is part of the fabric of Scotland. And now this is where my recruitment head comes in, or my workforce. You think about the demographics of this country are changing. We are not having enough children. We are all growing older, right? We are in a position where we have a declining population, particularly in the rural areas of Scotland. Cities like Glasgow are slightly more protected, but not completely. We don't have the London effect where it continues to grow. So we have a declining population, an aging population. Really simply, if I put this, when I get old, who's going to look after me in a care home? Because there's nobody going to be able to work in that. Who's going to be working in that care home? Because there won't be enough young people to work in the care sector to look after me. That worries me, right? Not just in care, in the sectors where we already see labour shortages. How do we fill those gaps? So difficult, really, really difficult.
So for UK ops leaders watching us right now, and they are trying to reduce workplace exploitation, what will you tell them?
Again, I go back to in leadership. For the leaders out there, is stop, understand it, accept it. Everybody has a part to play. You work in finance, you can do something about it. You work in operations, you can do something about it. You're a chief exec, managing director, HR, you can do something about it. Start by educating yourself and understanding the scale of the problem. Don't dismiss it. In my opinion, it's a growing issue, and it's only going to get bigger. We'll never eradicate it. We can take steps to mitigate it. From a business leader, you can try and mitigate the risks, but that starts with education and awareness. Understanding, accepting this is a problem locally, nationally, and globally is the first step to doing that.
Education and awareness
100%
is the way to go.
Yeah.
So what does success looks like for SAMS, for Scotland against modern slavery in the next 5 years?
Success for Scotland against modern slavery in the next 5 years, to me, is really, really simple. I think we have a passion and a duty to keep continually raising awareness. Where we looked at the business community to start with, it grew into something else. We've talked at schools, we've talked at various other groups and community groups. There was an asylum system. Ukrainian nationals, was a project running for them when they first arrived in 2022. So all of that felt like it was being success. Where I felt the biggest success came from was when we helped those survivors into work. Difficulty is now those survivors that get referred to as don't tend to have the right to work, because post-Brexit that's become much harder. So it's much harder to support those with the right to work. So for me, we have over 65, I think, businesses that are partners. It's free. They're not charged a penny to become a corporate partner of SAMS. We just ask them to be passionate and ambassadors of what we do in their business. We could have another 100 members. We could have a team or a group running SAMS. We have different subjects. So success, again, to answer the question, we have a core of businesses within manufacturing. That's where the risk was initially. We have now looking at other areas. So public transport and the transportation of victims. We are setting up a grouping of organisations and setting up a round table in person. We have a couple of members of SAMS, Caledonian Sleeper, Northlink Ferries, Stena Line that have recently joined. They're all in the provision of transport. We need more transport providers to be involved so they share best practice, because spotting the signs of somebody who's been physically trafficked is very different from somebody who's been trafficked for exploitation and labour exploitation. So we want to tackle that. That's not in my understanding. So we will have, 5 years' time, a number of different groupings of businesses in different sectors that come together, and they're working together to keep raising awareness.